preparations for Friday's kick-off in the next few weeks of football, they've brought out a lot more trams. There's a lot more trams actually out there on the tram lines, and that's actually resulted in tram congestion. There's a number 7 there, with a number 1 here, rather an old number 1, and then a new number 1. There's 2, you wait a long time for a number 1 and then 2 come along at once, and sometimes you can't do a number 1 without getting a number 2. But let's not talk about the toilet while we're talking about trams. Oh, there's a nice little thing. That was a great tit, and I'm not even being rude, it went down there now. So, we pull this back, you can see that they've got a case of tram congestion. It's a good job I wasn't even planning to use the tram to go home, because I'd be sitting in all of this, whereas as it is I was planning to walk it anyway. I've been walking a lot more prior to, in the run up to this, but the effect is that now I've got quite sore ankles, because it's actually, I've noticed that changing or doing a lot of this and using this training theory and doing a lot of walking and trying to add on a bit more each time does have the effect that every time that you get that cycle, that you get back to normal in one aspect of your body, something else starts to ache. So last time when I was doing it, there's some more and more Polish flags on the cars. Last time when I was doing it, for example, my back ached one time, the soles of my feet ached another time, my ankles ached another time, the muscles in my shins ached another time, my calves ached, thighs ached another time. Different things ache at different times, and as they get better, because of the training, the application of training theory, that you make them hurt and then let them get better, they get a bit better, so they're not the weakest link. Some other part of your walking mechanism becomes the weakest link, so the pain of walking for a longer period transfers to something else. At the moment it's my ankles that are playing up, but it won't be for long. I'm just walking through it, just going through it, of course, knowing full well that they won't be the weakest link in a few days' time. It'll be something else, some other part of the old anatomy that will be the weakest link. So there we go. They are moving forward slowly, because it's not there's anything wrong with the line, there's just too much congestion. The trams won't fit into the terminal. There's too many of them now. They should have thought of it, they should have planned it out properly, but they only had a few years to do it, so that wasn't enough time. Anyway, plenty of trams around. Those of you coming to Warsaw for these events ought to probably try and get hold of a season ticket. But in order to do that, you'll have to go and get a photo card done, which is a bit of a bind, and so therefore probably most people won't do it. They'll just buy individual tickets, thereby paying much more for getting around this city than I would, for example. For me, well, it's a 90-day event, isn't it? 90-day thing is the 3-month ticket, and that cost me about 220 zlotys. So you can work out that it is not much more than 2 zlotys a day. Something like maybe 60-70 cents per day. Whereas regardless of how many times I use it, I could sit in them the whole time, I suppose. Whereas you're going to use something like more than a day's worth of it just to go on a 20-minute journey. So, and then after 20 minutes your ticket won't be worth anything anymore. And I've noticed as well that they're not going to be giving that many breaks to people on the public transport riding without tickets. They're probably going to be administering on-the-spot fines and things, because I noticed just the other day, even when I got on a train, that there was an inspector, and I think that there are probably more inspections, not less, these days going on. Just because of the run-up, they probably got a load of their old ticket inspectors out of retirement to get the most out of this. Here's some Polish football bits and pieces, a horn. These are face paints. See, as long as you're going to paint your face white and red, then you've got all you need. If you want the blue, you're going to have to find it somewhere else if you want to do an English one. But if you just want to paint your face red and white, then those are the things you can do it with. Various other things, flags of course, fluffy hats. It's the whole fans equipment, all for Poles of course. If you didn't bring your own national team stuff with you, don't expect necessarily to find it here. I would buy an English flag if I could, but obviously I won't get one of them. I could, of course, there isn't a British team anyway to do red, white and blue, so I could simply do an England flag on my face with those white and red paints. Thankfully we've got the same colours in fact as Poland for England, and so I could actually get Poland colours for face painting and do an English flag on my face. Do you think it would suit me? I don't know if it would. Anyway, just another example of what it looks and feels like in the run-up. Still, this is Wednesday evening. It's not kick-off of the first thing until Friday evening, the first game. And so we're still 2 days off it, 48 hours away. But one senses an increasing interest in football going on in the cars, and an increasing preparedness. Some people of course are not here at all. They've left the city, they've gone outside the city to spend time elsewhere, and I'm sure that certainly the traffic here, especially as a lot of things have gone single lane, would be a lot worse if people hadn't already packed up and gone out. Some people are actually leaving now, and they won't be back until it's all over, I suppose. At least the first game's over. They don't want to be here on Friday. But I will be here on Friday, ladies and gentlemen, and I do intend to have a little bit of a walk and see what the atmosphere is like after the jolly old game is up, and during it and before it, maybe a little bit on Friday night. So it's not necessarily a Friday night in which I'd be tempted to go along to the synagogue that much. But rather just to walk and see what people are doing, see what big screens are erected so that people can watch the football as they walk around and enjoy themselves. Okay, probably enough for now. Still next to all these trams that can't seem to move forward any faster than my walking pace.